Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Glad to be here with you doing a midweek check-in for this Wednesday. Woo! Two things I want to look at today. Well, first, let me back it up a little bit in case you're just landing on the channel. I'm a Fefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. Tarot reader, clearly, but I'm also a former newspaper journalist, so that gives you an idea. I try to, come at my readings more fact-based, and then we get deeper insights, and I use my intuition to channel from spirit, deeper messages and insights about what the heck is going on. I'm also an initiated priestess in both Wiccan and African traditions. So that's me. Glad to have you here. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And again, for my existing subscribers, I appreciate you so very much. I love your commentary. I love the respect that you show. I love your passion. This is a community. My intention with this platform is to have a community and a space where we can come and share ideas and really, we're stronger together. I say that all the time, and that's one of the things that I hope this channel provides is a place to come and feel like you are a part of a community. All right, that said, two things I want to look at today. One, so we know, Spirit said the Texas Dems and the gerrymandering and redistricting efforts by the GOP, we knew that it was just a matter of time before the Dems had to go back. They withheld, the initial special session, but we know Abbott is like, that's okay, I'll just call another one. Yeah, so I think that's going to pass, right? That's going to happen. We're going to go to Spirit to confirm. But interestingly as well, what I'm getting is this whole thing may backfire, you all, for all that, this is extremely upsetting. And we know now there are other states that are potentially in play to try and do the same thing. Copycat from Texas. We're hearing about Missouri and Ohio. Keep an eye on that as well. But here's the deal. This is spiritual and factual, right? That as they strip down these districts and cherry pick, that they are also watering down the existing districts. And so I am wondering if two things. I want to go ahead to Spirit, always defer to Spirit to confirm that in fact these additional seats or these additional districts are going to get added in Texas. But then I want to look at whether that is going to backfire. All right. So we have I just shuffled. We have the Magician at the bottom of the deck for my readers out there. Many of you ask. I'll be reading from the Crow Tarot today by MJ Colane. All right. So we have the Magician working it out, reconfiguring the maps. Already, from what I understand, the redistricting map has already been passed, but they just have to vote on it. And Abbott has said he's going to call another special session as soon as the Dems get back. We also know that part of what the Texas Dems are saying as they go back is mission accomplished in terms of having successfully delayed the vote initially, but also that they are trying to use bargaining power to increase flooding relief in the state. That's something that they're really going to push for with Abbott, and that's beneficial, I guess, to his administration as well to address that, because whoa, isn't that a bigger issue that should be dealt with anyway? So flood relief is going to be a part of their bargaining power. And because Abbott was threatening to increase from, instead of pushing for 5 extra seats, he was talking about as many as 8 or 10 seats. And I think the Dems are saying they're negotiating that it won't have to go that far. But again, Magician comes. This is about to happen, okay? And those seats, and then there's Judgment, right? So that's going to happen. It's a done deal. They're going to get those extra seats in Texas. But Spirit, is this going to backfire? In the 2026 midterms in Texas, will this backfire? We have the Lovers, because you know what? The people are going to have the choices with these new districts, and the incumbents in the current districts then there's that watering down. That's what's happening there with the lovers. It's splitting. It's literally splitting in ways that, yeah, on the one hand, it looks like, from I'll call him Orange today. From Orange guy's perspective, I want those extra seats. Yeah, so the math is going to math in that regard, but the voters are going to do what they're going to do in their capacity. And I've just gotten the 10 of Cups in relation to that. So voters in those additional districts, and because things are going to be so split, you're going to have people, you're going to have people crossing lines. Spirit, is that correct? You're going to have voters crossing lines. Ace of Cups. If you read with me, if you've been on this channel, you know how I am. When Spirit gives me aces, it says that's my guide saying we're on the right track with something. Ace of Cups. And notice that comes in cups just as we got that 10 of Cups. So this is people's emotional response. This is movement. This is, bottom line, it's going to backfire. You will have more people who will vote independent, and those independents leaning towards Democratic voters, or Democratic candidates, even in these gerrymandered districts. We have the 5 of Pentacles. It will not result in what they want it to. They will, so Abbott is going to obey his master for entertainment purposes only, right? He's going to do what he's been getting, told he had to do. But ultimately, this is in the hands of the voters. Now, second part of that, we know that Gavin Newsom has been front and center saying, you do this and watch and see what California does. If I'm not mistaken, California has until August 22nd to get this on the ballot so that it can be voted in November. If there are going to be additional districts added in California. Spirit, will the state of California also add seats? Will this ballot go through, and will the vote be held to add seats and redistrict in the state of California in advance of 2026 elections? With the Queen of Cups, that's someone within that state who's running for California, who will be running for office, who will benefit from this effort to put it on the ballot and to win. And we have the Chariot. Yes, he's going to go forward. Gavin Newsom is not playing. This was not showmanship at all on his part. The state of California is going to, and I think this is also a signal that so they're going to pass the ballot initiative. It will be voted on in November, and the Chariot indicates that the people are going to turn out and push this forward. So we will see additional seats in California to mitigate what happens in Texas, Spirit. Knight of Swords, movement, votes. And the King of Cups. I don't typically see Newsom as a Cups energy, but yes. And the Queen of Swords. There are people within his administration, and I also feel like that's what's her name, Karen, the mayor of LA. There are people around Newsom who are going to use and really get out and push for this vote to approve these new seats, and I think it's going to happen because of that Chariot that we got initially coming out the gate, you all. So yes, we're going to have it in California. Now, Illinois is another state. New York is another state, but New York, from what I understand, Hochul has said there's some other processes in place that even if they were to pass it, it wouldn't necessarily go into effect until 2027, a little too late to have an impact. We do know, though, that Pritzker, who stood front and center to help the Texas Dems, give them some place, safety, a safe haven in this past week. There's the Empress. Growth. This is California, but I do believe that Spirit is saying with this Empress that we may very well see Illinois and Pritzker go forward with an attempt to change their maps as well. I don't know. I didn't take the time ahead of time. Page of Pentacles confirmation of that. But it is a slower process. It's not, whereas Newsom is ready to go. And he's been talking about it. He's already there. The deadline, 8/22, to get it on the ballot. They'll meet that deadline. They're going to do what they need to do. Pritzker, Illinois, it seems like it's a slower, like he doesn't have his fingers on the switch yet, like go. But so it's still in the potential stages. I don't know that he'll be able to I don't know that that Pritzker will be able to actually move in time. Let me confirm about that. In time to have it go into effect for the 2026 midterm. Spirit, will the state of Illinois have additional seats, have redistricting for the 2026 midterms? Will Pritzker and the state legislature, will they have that in time? Oh, shush my mouth. We got an ace of wands after I shuffled. All right. So keep your eyes on Illinois as well. Those two governors, we have to say, Pritzker and Newsom both have been, who clearly both also have ambitions for 2028. But those two governors are not at all afraid playing, and they have the backing and the goodwill of their legislatures to get this through, not to mention the voting public. So, yeah, I think we're going to see some things coming out of those two states. New York, maybe not so much, all right? So that's going to be really interesting. And again, going back to that initial read that we did around Texas, this is, on paper, it's going to satisfy what Orange, the dictates from their fearless leader to do this. But I don't think it's going to result in what they want. It's actually going to water down their base, the GOP base. And you're going to see a lot of other people, because at the end of the day, districting aside, people have the choice to vote for whom they decide they want to vote for within those various districts. And yeah, I was just reminded of even what happened in Florida with some special elections. The one, what was her name? It was a woman against Randy Fine, I think it was. And remember how close she got? Like, it was unbelievable. The point spread, even though he won, the point spread was way tighter. And why is that? Because in a deep red district like that was, there were still people who voted for her. You're going to see more of that, is what Spirit is saying. All right, you all? Okay. Second thing I want to look at today is DC takeover. All because, what's his name? Corstein, big balls. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. But so he gets jacked apparently for what amounts to an iPhone. We've seen these pictures of him bloodied. Did anybody else kind of get a flashback to the pictures from Butler? The fake blood for entertainment purposes only, right? It just, something about that just didn't look right to me. I'm like, where'd all that blood come from? Like, and supposedly all these teens got away with was an iPhone. Okay, all right, whatever. All right, but that that set off this whole thing now with employing the National Guard. Now, here's the interesting part. Spirit is reminding us. We also have a trial going on right now in LA today, Wednesday. I'm taping this early Wednesday morning. By the time it airs, not sure, we may even hear some news that comes out of San Francisco. Day 3 of a bench trial where Gavin Newsom filed that lawsuit because of the deployment of the National Guard in LA. We all know about that. The judge in that case, his name is Charles Breyer. He is a Clinton appointee. And I get the sense, which clearly we're not going to have a decision that comes out right away from that. We're going to have to wait for that. But the point is, Spirit is saying, keep your eye on that, because part of what part of what people are very concerned about is now that he's done this in 45, has, had this DC takeover and Hexeth. The DC takeover then is this a precursor, of course, to other cities with majority Black and minority populations, right? Are we going to see this in Chicago? Are we going to see this in New York? Are we going to see this in other places around the country, right? This LA trial, Spirit is saying, is going to be very determinative of that. The decision from this LA trial about whether, in fact, what is it called? The Posse Comitatus Act. The idea that you cannot employ the military for, against American citizens in effect, to effectuate a domestic law. That's illegal. So I do want to take a look at Spirit. Two things. Will the DC takeover last longer than 30 days? Will we see a military takeover in Washington, D.C. that goes past 30 days? Because that's from what I understand, that's the initial base that Orange has for doing that. We have the Six of Wands. He's going to try it. He's going to try and keep them there for as long as possible. Because DC is not a state, it doesn't have the same leverage. And we've seen Mayor Muriel Bowser come out and really, what a tough position she's been in. Seven of Pentacles, assessing how to do that, how many troops they could keep in there. The plan is to do it, though. From those two cards coming straight out, the Six of Wands and the Seven of Pentacles, that is the plan. There is the idea that they'll pull back after 30 days. They're just going to be getting started. Spirit, will we see the military in occupying D.C. past 30 days? The Knight of Wands, bringing perhaps shifting troops or shifting people. So after the first 30 days, they go out and then others come in. Am I right about that, Spirit? Yeah, Ten of Pentacles. Yeah. But so this is boots on the ground. And the idea at this time is to extend it past the 30 days. Now, LA trial. Will Gavin Newsom win in his lawsuit against Orange for the improper use of the military? We have the Moon. It's not a slam dunk. However, we do have the Nine of Pentacles. It's not a slam dunk, you all. I want to pull one more card. And the Knight of Pentacles. It's going to take a while for this decision to come out from Judge Charles Breyer. All right. It's going to take a while because he has some concerns, clearly, of backlash. We know now that threats against the judiciary are very real. And there's the Eight of Wands. That feels like it might come a little sooner than we think, but the Nine of Swords, so that's his concerns around what happens as a result of this decision. The Eight of Wands is how quickly it could lead to, I want to say the word unrest. That's the word that Spirit is giving me. It could lead to unrest because remember as well, something that the media is not doing, for obvious reasons, but for despicable reasons, they're not covering. There are protests that are continuing, widespread protests in LA that are continuing against ICE, and we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that coverage. It's being tamped down. And there's the Ten of Swords. Yikes. Spirit, Will Briar Cave. Will Briar Cave. There's the King of Cups. That's Newsom. And the devil. Dang it. Is that because they would take it to the Supreme Court or try to take it to the Supreme Court? The Emperor. Yeah. All right, you all. So, bottom line. Let's not get our hopes seriously up around this decision. And we also know that because of the, F the judicial system attitude from this administration, that even if Breyer, what I'm getting from the guides is even if Breyer were to come out and do the right thing and, the right thing for entertainment purposes only, and rule in favor of Newsom in the state of California and say that, no, this was absolutely wrong, that it just prolongs the what will happen in the DOJ continuing to try and pursue it in some way. However, I still am getting from Spirit that the idea that the military can continue to be employed or deployed in various cities for something like, there's already been so much made of the fact that you would do this as a result of this guy being jacked, for his iPhone when you had the whole entire Capitol under siege and refused to call the military presence in to try and stop that. The hypocrisy. There will be resistance to it. Regardless, there will be resistance to it. And I do think that there will be, in addition, there will be additional lawsuits that would be filed as if he proceeds to do this in other cities. But do not be surprised if for any excuse that he can come up with, that he would continue to try and implement that. Because right now they're drunk on power. Three things that Spirit gave me, or two other things in addition to keeping an eye on the LA trial, and that at least could be a deterrent to what happens in other states, DC aside. Couple of things we're going to see after all of this is over. We're going to see a push for statehood again in DC. Why? That I know that's happened. That's been on the table before, and it's never, it's just never made it to pass a vote. But we're going to see a push for that again, because we're going to see and hear a lot of stories that are going to come out of this flooding of military personnel in the city of DC, or the District of Columbia. We're going to see a lot of stories around that. There will be a push for statehood again. And I also am getting you all that you're going to see within the Democratic Party and within political leadership in the party, there is going to be more talk about getting tough on crime. Not in a GOP way, but recognizing that part of what pings the MAGA base and the GOP faction and Republicans, conservatives in general, has been for decades the whole tough on crime thing. So the Dems' values and pushing values and standing on values and principles and freedoms, they're going to have to start to include some of that language on crime. And we even saw that to some extent with Mayor Bowser's response to what's happening. There's sort of been this, soft shoeing around, yes, we do have to stay tough on crime, but do we have to do it this way? And I have the chariot. After I shuffled, I got the chariot at the bottom of the deck that has come back. So yes, we're going to see moving forward, we're going to see crime being incorporated more in the platforms among Democratic candidates. I keep hearing Mamdani in the back of my head as well, because they're going to come after him. They already are, but they're going to continue to ramp up the pressure and come after him. And that's going to be a part of, and the Ten of Cups comes back. That's going to be a part of we're going to hear more of that dialogue or part of his platform addressing crime. more and more. We have the Seven of Swords, because this is Spirit pointing out you're going to have to see more hard data that's going to come out of cities. We know that crime is down across the country. We know that crime even in DC is down. I just heard Westmore is on red alert, because we know DC's sister city, Baltimore, and Westmore being the governor of Baltimore, they got their eyes on Baltimore as well. So they're going to start and get their Seven of Pentacles. Yes, this is data that's going to start to come out that says, here's why it's unjustified. Here's hard data to prove that crime is down. It is an issue. It is something that, of course, people care about. Safety is something that people care about. But this idea that crime is just running rampant and, people can't even walk the streets is simply not true. And we have the Six of Wands that comes back. There will be a fight over that, to who's going to lead that charge, who's going to take charge of that, who's really telling the truth. And we will have more cities that are going to have their data. They're already getting their data together to show there is no need to send in troops in these areas. Our law enforcement is doing the job. Our statistics bear that out. All right, you all? Whew. Okay, let's hang in there. I'll be back and check in with you all on Friday. Take really good care of yourselves. I thank you again. Please spread the word for the channel. I'd appreciate your support. Hit that like and subscribe and notification bell so you know when I've posted. Chin up, right? You have to do it. We have to do it collectively. Chin up. Know who you are. Know what you stand for. And don't let anything deter you during this time, right? Shoulders back. Be confident and know who you walk with and what you stand for. And remember to breathe. By all means, remember to breathe, right? Deep, deep cleansing breaths now more than ever. Thank you again. I'll talk to you real soon. Bye.